Welcome to another EDH deck tech here at Better Commander. I'm Nikki G. A billion years ago, on the planet Ikoria, a meteor came from space and struck some trees with thunderous destructive force. From that meteor, an alien of unimaginable power was birthed. That alien had a dream about a multi-headed, colorful Pokemon, and from that dream, Zaxara was born. As you can tell, I have a very tenuous grasp on MTG lore. Listen, there's enough channels out there doing deck techs on that brand new spice, but I'm out here going all the way back to 2020 with some kind of weird Nightmare Hydra, Zaxara, the Exemplary. I have this deck, I've had it for a long time, and it's a lot of fun. Zaxara can play some suboptimal X spells because with your commander out, you get a nifty little Hydra that comes along for the ride. What other deck can you play Dregs of Sorrow? Huh? Let's take a look at this long neck beauty. Zaxara is a 2/3 legendary nightmare horror. Costs 1, a blue, a black, and a green. Also has Death Touch. You can tap to add 2 mana of any color. Ooh la la! Whenever you cast a spell with X in its mana cost, you create a 0/0 green Hydra creature token, then put X +1/+1 counters on it. So for this deck, you want big mana, X spells, and +1 counter synergies. Well, let's take a look at how we get there. So for this deck, we want ramp. Since Zaxara taps for 2, we want to have ways to untap Zaxara, so we're going to include some untappers. This is not a tribal deck, but we have a few Hydras. I'm putting Hydras in air quotes. There are no Hydra payoffs, there's no tribal payoffs, so we don't really care if our Hydras are actually worms or wizards or whatever. We do want a critical mass of spells with X in their mana costs. After Zaxara is out, we can tap for 7 on turn 4, so we want to turn that into Hydras reliably. Zaxara is a really fun deck because of all the ways it can win. Do you like combo? You like big stompy Hydras? You like alternate win conditions? This deck can do all of that. We have some unique win conditions and backup plans in case we get stopped. Also, in case if there's a dire lethal board state, we can dig for our little combo. I'll note here also we want a little protection, so I did include Lightning Greaves and Swiftfoot Boots. They're just really great haste enablers and protection in this deck. Zaxara is so integral to our plan, and if it gets removed too often, we're up a creek with no paddle. Let's talk ramp. Okay, we have Signets and Soul Ring and Little Shiny Rocks, but what rampers are great in this specific deck? I really like Birds of Paradise. It comes down turn 1, fixes our colors. Gyre Sage got a bit pricey as of late, but it feeds into our counter synergy and grows as our Hydras get bigger and bigger. Astral Cornucopia can scale up with our mana production and brings a Hydra along for the ride. We have 2 untappers that are super sweet in this deck. Kiora, Behemoth Beckoner, untaps Zaxara and draws us cards when a Hydra pokes out its heads. Oh, who is that behind Kiora? It's Kiora's follower. Don't be such a follower, dude. Just untap Zaxara, blaze your own trail in life. You know what I like better than big mana? Huge mana. The first way we're going to get there is Crewfix, God of Horizons, which lets us bank mana between turns. I've used Crewfix to great effect in this deck. Leave some untapped mana for interaction. If it doesn't happen, I can bank a bunch of mana on my opponent's end step and then untap with 10, 15, 20 mana to cast a big X spell to draw for my win conditions. Nyxbloom Ancient is fantastic in this deck, can be searched out at instant speed with Chord of Calling, and makes back his mana investment very quickly. This card is key to the deck, and we see it very often in our common play pattern. Next up, we have our Hydras. These ideally should be cheap to cast and provide some other advantage. Stone Coil Serpent has reach, trample, and protection from multicolored. Hydroid Crassus draws us cards and is an evasive trampler. We have Lifeblood Hydra that tramples and draws us cards when it dies. Let's get some French vanilla beaters in there. How about Feral Hydra, Mistcutter Hydra, Primordial Hydra? Cards like this will enter the battlefield. They'll be big threats due to our big mana strategy, plus they'll bring along a little baby Hydra from Zaxara. Vastwood Hydra lets us preserve our counters. Steelbane Hydra helps control our opponent's troublesome artifacts and enchantments. Talk about utility, plus it's a cute little turtle Hydra for some reason. I put Nimbus Swimmer in there. It's an invasive threat for our opponents that don't have flying blockers. There's some really great utility creatures in these colors. I have a few that I want to highlight as they bring a lot of utility to the board. Gadwick the Wizen draws us cards, taps our opponent's stuff, and is an X spell. Corpsejack Menace doubles our counters and makes our Hydras much bigger. Prime Speaker Zagana is a great draw engine. She feeds into our counter strategy, draws us cards. I also have an Eternal Witness in this deck, as well as the Colonian Hydra to beat face. Alright, let's get into some of the notable X spells. I have Green Sun Zenith and Court of Calling to go and get Nyxbloom Ancient primarily. Worm Calling makes us a worm and a Hydra, and we get to pay the buyback cost to keep it handy if we want to. I love Villainous Wealth in this deck. Villainous Wealth, one of my all-time favorite cards. It's fun to see what you can rip off the top of your opponent's library. This can also be a win condition if you have enough mana. Talk about infinite mana. It makes me crazy if I don't have a full grip of cards, so I included some blue X spells in this deck so we can dig deep, keep our grip full. Finale at Revelation can generate a massive advantage for us. Stroke of Genius, Mind Spring are kind of two of the standard cards that you want to include in this type of deck. So if we can generate infinite mana, Torment of Hellfire and Exsanguinate win us the game. Diabolic Revelation is not a great card, but we can cast it for 7, get our win condition, and a Swan Song to back us up. In this deck, this card works pretty well. Is Demonic Tutor better? Sure. Is it also $50? Yeah. How much does this cost? Like 8 cents. Black X spells are plentiful, and these are 3 of my favorites for this deck. So eventually we want to win the game. Simic Ascendancy is nasty good in this deck. It's a threat that has to be answered, especially if it comes out early. It's also a mana sink that helps grow our creatures, but we're primarily concerned with the win the game text. Walking Ballista is a killer X spell that we can load infinite mana into to ping down everybody. Nylea grants our giant Hydras trample. It's also an infinite mana sink. Garruk's Uprising does the same and draws us cards. Doubling Season not only doubles our tokens, but it doubles our counters. I know this card is $60. I happen to be fortunate enough to have one, and I don't have to tell you how good it is. There's a couple cards that go infinite with Zaxara. One of them is Freed from the Real. The other one would be Pemin's Aura, which I don't happen to have a copy of. Freed from the Real, when attached to Zaxara, gives us infinite mana. In a deck that cares about X spells, infinite mana will win us the game, or dig deep enough to get us there. Mythos of Brokos is just a cool card. Again, it's a tutor. It's not amazing, but it fits our Sultai colors, and I like it. Perplex is a conditional counter spell, but can be transmuted into Freed from the Real or Eternal Witness if our Freed from the Real ends up in our graveyard. Ikoria was a really strange set that I liked a lot when it came out, especially the commander cards that were associated with it. I like this deck because it's explosive, it plays differently each time you take it out. I've had games where things get whack and I need to draw a million cards to find Freed from the Real. I've had games where I put 40 power out on the board in a turn and await the inevitable board wipe. I tried to include versatile removal and interaction, so take a look at the deck list. I want to make sure my opponents are running away with things, so I do want to have ways to take out their key permanents. If Zaxara gets removed too many times, it can definitely be an uphill battle, but I like decks where the commander takes center stage. So let me know what you think, and I'll leave a deck list in the description. So give a little smooch to the like button and subscribe buttons, okay? Maybe give them just a little nudge. Don't smash them. It's Nicky G signing off.